Okay, so this is my last time. I've been thinking heavily on self-acceptance because that's what I'm going to be honest with you, because you know what? This is an illusion. There's no need for me to be ashamed of anything. Like nothing is real anyway, honestly. So why even be ashamed? I've been working a lot on self-acceptance and self-love, right? Some of the people that teach about femininity have admitted that they still need to work on self-love. And to be honest, like I said before, femininity is good for an outside appearance to impress people for a little while, to get you in the door, to get you, to get you places, and to look a certain way, and to have a certain kind of persona to impress people, to get you in certain doors that you couldn't have got in probably otherwise, right? Because that's basically a lot of that is playing the game. But eventually the lack of self-love shows up, no matter how pretty you look on the outside. Now, but I want to get into self-acceptance. That is a big problem. I said that in my last upload. That is a big problem people struggle with worldwide. Self-acceptance. And the reason why I say that, because people naturally, they think it's normal to judge themselves. I get you might have done something wrong, you made a mistake, and I get that you try to think about, why did I do that? What is wrong with me? And then you try to figure out a way that won't happen again. That I understand, kind of staying on it and pondering to try to make sure that you don't keep making the same mistake over and over again, like you're going around the same mountain for 40 years, right? That I get. But some people have a problem with judging themselves. That's something that happened 20 years ago that, it's almost like well, I should have never done it. Well, what should you have done? And then granted, some things that you do can be a heavy price. And so some things that you do that can be a heavy price, it's hard to let it go. It's hard to not judge yourself. I completely get that. But at the same time, continuing to judge yourself only makes matters worse. In certain societies, in this particular, especially United States of America, what I've seen for most people, they think that they're supposed to judge themselves. They really think they're supposed to judge themselves when they make a mistake. Oh, I'm so stupid, and blah, blah, blah. And really, you judge yourself, you actually make it more of a problem for your shadow. Okay, you causing more of an issue for your shadow. Okay, so that's what happens when you constantly do that. You increase the certain problems in that shadow that's going to have to be addressed eventually. Okay, but here's what I want to say though. This is the main thing I want to say, because I'm not going to stay on this part too long. So I've talked about a beautiful friend of mine, very beautiful, very striking looking. Everybody wanted her, right? But then I said that, men that get with her, they impressed with her beauty for a little while, and then after a few months or maybe after a year, they get used to her beauty, and they don't treat her right. But then I had my other friend with the Coke bottle glasses, and I don't mean to say like that. I'm just describing the physical appearance, okay? And if she didn't wear dresses. She didn't wear makeup. She didn't wear high heel shoes. But she still had a nice figure, and she still dressed nice, and she still, you can tell that she has some pride about herself, though. Don't get me wrong, but she didn't look like what most people would want to call feminine when they're trying to teach women how to get men. That's not necessarily how she looked. But she got them all. But here's my point. Because I'm on self-acceptance, right? I'm on self-acceptance. As pretty as my friend was, that other one that's striking, and I said men would treat her bad after a little while, she didn't accept herself. And that's not an insult, because I definitely said that's something I'm working on too. And I'm not going to be ashamed of it. She didn't accept herself. We went to high school together. She was my best friend. She would always ask me if somebody was prettier than her. As pretty as she was. See, when you're real pretty like that, it's hard to accept that somebody else can be prettier. because you feel like everything has to be about your beauty, and if you don't have your beauty, you have nothing. But then that's not necessarily it either, because there's a lot of people who are very pretty, but if they have self-acceptance, they don't care about stuff like that. They don't care about who might look better than them, because they accept themselves for everything they are. And so whoever might come along that might look pretty, might have a big booty, or might have nice thighs, or all that stuff, they don't care, because they 100% accept themselves, even if they might be pretty, you know? So the difference between her and my other friend, you know, the woman with the low haircut, Coke bottle glasses, but she still had a nice figure. She had more self-acceptance. She had more sex appeal. She has sex appeal too. And it's not that she had more sex than my other friend. It's not about how much sex she has. She has sex appeal. Like, she has sex appeal. Okay, even if she never had sex in 5 years, it's some energy that's in her. It's some kind of sex appeal, like Bill Quest on American Gods. It's something in her. It's the energy that's in her that just draws men. She has like that sex appeal, that whip appeal. Like Babyface, you got that. She had that whip appeal. Even though she ain't look the best on the outside. Okay, but my other friend didn't have that whip appeal, and then she didn't have confidence, and she didn't necessarily accept herself. So I say that to say, and there's a difference. Self-acceptance is a big deal when it comes to everything in your life. When it comes to everything in your life. Self-acceptance, self-confidence, self-acceptance is a big deal. Self-love is a big deal. Self-acceptance is, you got to accept yourself. You have to accept all your flaws. You like, so what? So what? And meaning you're not embarrassed. You're not worried about what somebody else thinks all the time. You accept yourself. And if you make a mistake, you're not going to continue to beat yourself over the head. You might try to work on to see how you can do things differently last time. And if, depending on how bad it is, you might have to apologize. You might have to do things right. You might have to right wrong. You might have to right the wrongs, right? You might have to. But the point is you figuring out what in you made you do something or whatever, and how that can never happen again. But that's something completely different. That's actually forgiveness. You forgive yourself. Because if you constantly beat yourself up and constantly have insecurities and constantly think you're not good enough, you don't really accept yourself, and you don't forgive yourself. And so how are you going to, what people want to call forgiving somebody else, which that's not even real. Forgiving somebody else is not even real, because we don't even know what we're looking at these days. In 2022, we don't know what we're looking at. We don't know. We're looking at a lot of holograms these days. Okay, so what is self-forgiveness of others when you don't even know what the heck is in front of you these days? So that don't make sense. Forgiveness is not for others. It's always been for yourself. It's always been to forgiveness as far as understanding why something happened. It's all about you and understanding and growing. That's what forgiveness is. Not about somebody else. We don't know who they are. We don't know what energy was in them and where they came from. It ain't for them. Okay? But self-forgiveness is a big deal too. So self-forgiveness, self-acceptance, self-love. Self-acceptance is a big deal. It's a big deal. Okay? And my other friend with those, that didn't look the best on the outside, she never once was concerned about who looked better than her. Never once have I ever heard of all the years I've known her, because I know her in high school and I knew her all through my college years. Okay? And never once have I heard this woman say out of her mouth, am I prettier? Is she prettier than me? She never cared, or she got a big butt, or she got a nicer figure. Never once. Now, she might have thought it, but never once has she let it bother her so much that she had to say it out loud. But either way, I don't think it necessarily bothers her though. When I look at her, I don't think it's something that bothers her. Okay. And she is the one that don't even look the best on the outside, but never once has she ever uttered out her mouth, did somebody look better than her? Never once. She seemed to be more confident. See, so confidence and self-acceptance is it's not necessarily about a physical appearance. It's all about the inner world. It's all about you on the inside, no matter what you look like on the outside. People can say fake it till you make it. That could be true, but that's not always true. Because I know people that wear life that looks pretty on the outside, that looks sharp on the outside for all their life, and they still don't accept who they are. So it's definitely about doing the work on yourself. When it's something like that, it's really about doing the work on yourself. You can't just fake it. You got to do the work on yourself. It can't be. It's kind of hard for it to be any other way. But that's all I want to say. This is like another comment about the femininity thing, but I really want to get more on the self-acceptance. Yeah, I was just wanting to get a little bit more on that self-acceptance, because that is something that's a big deal for me. A very big deal. If you don't accept yourself, nobody else will accept you either. They will just be impressed by you for a little while, but after they get to your insecurity show up, it's going to eventually show up, and everybody's going to see it. And that's going to be your inner world, and then you're going to be treated according to how you feel about yourself. Okay, so a man thinketh, so he is. You're going to be treated, eventually you're going to be treated according to how you think about yourself. Okay, regardless of how pretty you are. Like, let's look at Halle Berry. I'm not one to get on who she really is, but I couldn't help but notice that in her heyday, when she was in a lot of movies, when she was in Swordfish and Boomerang, she had problems with relationships. Very beautiful, but had problems with relationships. And then she was with the Eric Benet, and he was a serial cheater. I think he had a sex addiction. That's what she said. And I think her mother was a psychologist or something. And he had a sex addiction. At least that's what she said. And then she was with Michael Ealy too. And, these guys are impressed with her beauty once again. But I don't think he felt like he was lucky to be with Halle Berry after so many months of being together. He was like at some kind of thing. He was taking pictures, I guess it was some kind of movie premiere. He was taking pictures and all that stuff. You know how you have these big signs up, and they take these pictures of a movie they've been in, or the movie they're about to be in, and they have to do all these promotions, and they're taking these pictures. And so I think he was in one of those. Somebody was wanting to interview him, ask him questions, and said, I heard you were Halle Berry. People think you're the luckiest man in the world. People think you're so lucky. Michael Ealy said, yeah, that's what they keep telling me. That's what I keep hearing. And that's what Michael Ealy said. He said, yeah. I mean, and he had this blank looking face like, yeah, that's what I keep hearing. See, everybody seeing Halle Berry at that time was the most beautiful woman in the world, right? But Michael Ealy, and that's not to say that he's been a perfect man either, but my point is saying is that when this person, and I think this was a lady that, one of those people that just, journalists or whatever they are, they at those events and want to ask people questions and stuff. So somebody just walked up to him and asked him a question and said, yeah, everybody feel like you so lucky. You're the luckiest man in the world to be with Halle Berry. And Michael will say, yeah, that's what they keep saying. You see what I'm saying? And she's been in other relationships where I think, it's been similar. But then let's look at somebody else, right? Not to say that their marriage is the best, but let's go with, I guess, a woman, Viola Davis. Let's just look at Viola Davis. Not to say that her husband is the best to her. I don't know anything about their relationships, but I do believe that she's married. And not to say that she has a great personality. I know nothing about her, never met her a day in my life. But here's what I'm saying. Oh, no. Let's get off of Viola Davis. Precious. Gabourey Sidibe. Precious. Precious. I know I'm not going to call that lady Precious. She's been on so many movies. I'm not going to call her that. She's talented. She's too talented to be just limited to that one movie. That's just the movie. That was her breakout role, though. That was a breakout role for her because I don't think she acted before that. I think somebody saw her at a college and they liked the way she looked. She had the perfect look for that role, and I think that might have been her first role. I mean, somebody picked up, saw her on a college campus. But anyway, so that was literally a breakout role for her, and then she just took off ever since. That woman, listen, I ain't ever seen somebody with so much confidence and just so sure about themselves and so much self-acceptance in my life. Listen. I want to play. I just want to have a playlist of all of Gabourey Sidibe interviews just so that energy can come. I have never, and I've seen some confident people. But see, some people seem confident and they really insecure, but they come off as confident. She's not somebody who just come off as confident. She is what she is. Okay, so now I went from Halle Berry, and I'm talking about having all these problems with all these relationships, as pretty as she is. Everybody thought that these men were the luckiest men in the world, but these men don't feel like they've been lucky. But then you get this Gabourey Sidibe, who I think she was with somebody and now she's engaged if she's not married because I'm not keeping up with her life. Probably in a great relationship. You see what I'm saying? You see? But my point is saying self-acceptance, self-confidence again. She's not nowhere, I don't think, is that woman insecure in any kind of way. Okay? And she ain't just acting like it. She is. She ain't faking it. She just is. You can tell that is all of her. Right? And anybody want to come to her sideways about her size or whatever her size was at the time, during that movie Precious and afterwards, so she still was heavy. She would shut them down. She wouldn't let them talk to her like that. You can't talk to me. No. You cannot talk to me like that. I love the way she's fearless. She's fearless. And so that's all I want to say. Once again, that self-acceptance. People could feel like Gabourey Sidibe, she was overweight, just big, and she couldn't get what other thin women can get, what other women look like on the certain on the outside, what they can get, and she got everything plus. She has gotten way more movie roles than a lot of thin women that look a certain way on the outside. Listen, she got more movie roles than a lot of biracial women. And I'm not trying to hop on no biracial women. The only reason I say biracial women is only because of what's being pushed that was being pushed on YouTube with colorism, right? And I'm not hopping on anybody who has anything to say about colorism. I don't care about anybody's views on colorism. My point in saying that is that she has gotten more movie roles than a lot of biracial women in the game. She probably is in a better relationship than a lot of women who on the outside is what society deems as beautiful. Okay? So at the end of the day, an outside appearance and a persona, if it ain't real, it only lasts for so long. It only gets you somewhere for so long. You cannot be fake but for so long. Okay? But at the end of the day, people are going to eventually see you for who you are. Okay? Now, some people like, well, you don't have to be yourself. I don't want to be like that. If I got to be fake for the rest of my life. Now, I get going to work and stuff. Like if you're working at a job, corporate America, or whatever you're doing, even in Hollywood, you just got to do your darn job. Ain't nobody care about your problems. You just do your job. Everybody fake when it comes to that. When it comes to corporate America, when it comes to your job, having to get the job done, don't nobody care about who you are and your insecurities and your problems. So yeah, I get you having a different persona when it comes to work because you sign a contract to do a specific job. So your job is to carry out your job description every day. So everybody is fake when it comes to going to work, corporate America, because you are there to carry out a job description, not to talk about your insecurities and what happened to you as a child. But when it comes to like personal relationships, though, when it comes to personal relationships, that lack of self-acceptance, that lack of self-love, and all of that lack of self-confidence is going to keep showing up every time. It's going to keep showing up. Okay? And even in friendships, it's going to keep showing up. But other than that, that's all I want to say, and I will talk later.